Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Welcome to another Quran study. God willing, today we will be reading from Surah 23, verse 113. Let's all seek refuge in God from Satan the rejected. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. They said we lasted a day or part of a day. Ask those who counted. He said, in fact, you stayed but a brief interim. Only if you only knew. Did you think that we created you in vain, that you were not to be returned to us? Most exalted is God, the true sovereign. There is no other God beside him, the most honorable Lord, possessor of all authority. Anyone who idolizes beside God any other God, and without any kind of proof, his reckoning rests with his Lord. The disbelievers never succeed. Say, my Lord, shower us with forgiveness and mercy. Of all the merciful ones, you are the most merciful. All right, so these verses are talking about people in the hereafter, it says, he said, how long have you lasted on earth? How many years? And the response would be, we lasted a day or part of a day. Ask those who counted. And this shows to us that, this worldly life is, the concept of time and space that we have here on this earth, is irrelevant because it's a different dimension, of course, we're not all astrophysicists and stuff, but, an easy way to understand it would be, it's an illusion. This worldly life is an illusion, and, it's just like a play that you're in for a short period, for a day or so. Imagine like if you were to play as a rich man or a poor person or a carpenter or whatever, just for one day, but in your real life you're somebody else, and so a day or part of the day is nothing, right? If you compare that, and imagine people, jeopardizing and actually ruining their hereafter for this temporary illusion, which is when they find out on the day of judgment was nothing in comparison to the hereafter. And God says, in fact, you stayed but a brief interim. If these people only knew that they would fix themselves by turning righteous, but they were preoccupied with this life. They gave preference to this world over the hereafter and forgot God as a result. And God says, anyone who idolizes any other God, we know that is idol worship. It's unforgivable offense. And his reckoning rests with his Lord doesn't mean that God may decide to forgive that person. If he is over 40 for sure, he would end up in hell if he maintains idol worship until death, because that is God's system. But God says his reckoning rests with his Lord, and he will give him, what he deserves. That's why it says in the next line that the sentence, it says the disbelievers never succeed. Disbelievers never succeed. So we have to remember that, this is God's law. Anyone who's a disbeliever, people who fabricate lies about God, people who are idol worshippers, they never succeed. They may pretend in this world even that they are successful, but we know that they're miserable and they're not successful. And in the hereafter, they will also be losers. But of course, the test is designed in a way that, people can go on trying to fool other people, and you can't really see exactly how big of a loser they actually are, because if that was the case, then everybody would be forced to believe, right? Knowing how bad things will get. But, God doesn't want to force people. He wants people to make their decision based on their own free will, so their true convictions can be tested, right? Imagine like if you have a very strict parent, who wants you to study, and you're afraid that he's gonna do something to you, and the moment you don't study, he does something bad to you and punishes you. You're gonna study, right? But the thing is, you're not studying because you want to, and you like to. You're studying just because of the fear of that punishment and stuff, right? And so you can't really tell at that point. That's just being forced at that point, right? And God doesn't want that. God wants us to show our true convictions. So God allows us to have this in a setting where we are able to we are able to make our choice. If we want to do the right thing, we can do it. If we want to do the bad things, we can also do those things, right? God gives us the freedom to do them. But there comes the price with that, as long as people are willing to pay for it. And it says, say, my Lord, shower us with the forgiveness and mercy. Of all the merciful ones, you are the most merciful. So we should be praying to God for forgiveness every day. Every day we should be praying to God for forgiveness, and Quran mentions also certain times of the day where you can ask God for forgiveness. For example, especially at dawn, God says, they ask for forgiveness as the stars fade away. But you can ask forgiveness as much as possible, because, for someone who thinks that they don't have to ask God for forgiveness because they're so pious, obviously that's ego in itself, because we are weak creatures and we commit many sins unknowingly even, and so we have to ask God for forgiveness. Of course, there are a lot of sins that God says He overlooks them, without us even asking God for forgiveness, but we owe it to God, to ask God for His forgiveness and praise Him for His mercy, Surah 24, Light Al-Nur. In the name of God, most gracious, most merciful. A surah that we have sent down and we have decreed as law. We have revealed in it clear revelations that you may take heed. Adultery. The adulteress and the adulterer, you shall whip each of them 100 lashes. Do not be swayed by pity from carrying out God's law. If you truly believe in God and the last day, and let a group of believers witness their penalty. Here the footnote says, social pressure, for example, public witnessing of the penalty, is a basic punishment. See also 538. The lashes shall be symbolic, not severe. The adulterer will end up marrying an adulteress or an idol worshiper, and an adulteress will end up marrying an adulterer or an idol worshiper. This is prohibited for the believers. Okay, so these verses are talking about the punishment for adultery, and we know that in the Quran the punishment of adultery is straightforward, where it says, you shall whip each one of them 100 lashes, and the lashes are supposed to be symbolic. They're not supposed to be severe to the point that you hurt them and sometimes people are bleeding, That's not the idea. And then certainly Satan has distorted this, to give submission or Islam and Quran a bad name, and set the worst examples by distorting the religion, to repel people from the path, by adding stoning on top of it, So they say, no, if you marry, the Quran is saying this for the unmarried people, and then it says if the people are married, then you stone them to death, because it's in the hadith, right? And that's why God says the Quran is complete, perfect, and fully detailed, right? So the punishment is here. The adulterer and the adulteress. It doesn't say whether married or unmarried, right? The Quran doesn't distinguish that. The word in Arabic is zina, which is, translates to sex outside of marriage, right? So that means whether you're, you committed sexual relations with someone other than one who you were married to. So this could be, whether you were married or not, whether this person was married to someone or not. The fact is that the two of them were not married and they had sexual relations, and so that's considered adultery by the definition of the Quran. And if they committed that, then the lashes shall be symbolic, because as the footnote says, the whole idea is the real punishment, is the public humiliation. When they go through that kind of embarrassment, that is the real punishment. Because the physical punishment, even if it's severe, after some time, your body will get over it in 2 or 3 days, right? If it's severe, then probably more. But the public humiliation is the thing. So other people will know, don't be careful of this person also, and their reputation will be tarnished based on that. And they won't go sleeping around. They'll probably change their habit, Now we're living in a society where people don't care, but and they sleep around. But if there is a public scandal about a person, then it is still treated differently. If a group of people witness that, they will be embarrassed. But let's say if their wife finds out and they're cheating, or if their kids find out, or if their friends find out, they don't care, right? But if a whole group finds out, imagine your workplace, your neighbors, your friends, at least there'll be some people that you care about, you don't want them to know, right? And so this is the real punishment in this case. And the person will be really embarrassed that they'll rethink their whole image from the start. If the person really has, some integrity or some dignity, they will not do it again, right? But then there are people who are worse than that. And then for women specifically, where God says then they have to be quarantined, right? Of course, men can't be quarantined. In this case, the quarantine is for women, but they will be punished each time they commit such an act. So then God talks about adultery further. This is in verse 4. It says, "Those who accuse married women of adultery, then fail to produce 4 witnesses, you shall whip them 80 lashes, and do not accept any testimony from them. They are wicked. If they repent afterwards and reform, then God is forgiver, most merciful. As for those who accuse their own spouses without any other witnesses, then the testimony may be accepted if he swears by God 4 times that he is telling the truth. The 5th oath shall be to incur God's condemnation upon him if he was lying. She shall be considered innocent if she swears by God 4 times that he is a liar. The 5th oath shall incur God's wrath upon her if he was telling the truth. This is God's grace and mercy towards you. God is Redeemer, most merciful." So God says that, accusing someone of adultery is a serious offense, especially if the person has not committed it. Of course, if the person actually committed it, you're supposed to have 4 witnesses, right? And if you don't have 4 witnesses, you can't accuse them at that point, right? It'd be different if a person has confessed that they committed it. But if you want to accuse somebody, and you don't have the witnesses, then that person shall be considered a liar, right? So you can't take this lightly and just accuse people of committing adultery and then without having witnesses, expect them to be lashed, right? So no, if you do that, of course that is, you're doing this at the expense of someone else's reputation, right? You could have suspicion about someone and they may not have committed it, or you could just not like someone and say this person committed adultery, right? Just to tarnish their reputation, as we see in this world. People do a lot, right? And accuse people of things like that. So for that, God has protection in place, right? So if you accuse someone, be prepared to be lashed 80 times. And then for the married, couples, if they accuse each other, or if they accuse the other spouse, then they can take an oath by God 4 times that they're telling the truth, and then the 5th one should be to say God's wrath should be upon them if they were lying, But if the other person is telling the truth, then the other person can say the same. And God says, so as for those who accuse their own spouses without any witness, then their testimony may be accepted if he swears by God 4 times that he's telling the truth. And the 5th oath shall be to incur God's condemnation upon him if he was lying, right? And the woman shall be considered innocent, right? In this case, so this is also for the protection of women in a way, right? Like, let's say a husband accuses her, and he doesn't even have witnesses. So then, in that case, he can make an oath, but he also has to, incur God's wrath upon him. He has to basically curse himself if he was lying, right? So this will discourage him from doing that. But let's say if the husband's evil enough to do it, the wife shall be considered innocent if she does the same. Obviously if she's wrong too, she's incurring God's wrath upon her, a curse from God on her. So nobody will want to be in that position if they truly believe in God. But this is God's way of protecting the spouse, because husbands will get suspicious, if they're not righteous, either one, and they can accuse the spouses of doing stuff like that. And so, this is obviously very serious, and as we can see, it has serious consequences. 24:11, how to deal with rumors and unproven accusations. A gang among you produced a big lie. Do not think that it was bad for you. Instead, it was good for you. Meanwhile, each one of them has earned a share of the guilt. As for the one who initiated the whole incident, he has incurred a terrible retribution. And the footnote says, this refers to a historical incident where the Prophet's wife, Aisha, was left in the desert by mistake, and later found by a young man who helped her catch up with the Prophet's caravan. This triggered the famous big lie against Aisha. So it says, when you heard it, verse 12, the believing men and the believing women should have had better thoughts about themselves and should have said, this is obviously a big lie. Only if they produce 4 witnesses, you may believe them. If they fail to produce the witnesses, then they are, according to God, liars. If it were not that for God's grace towards you and his mercy in this world and the hereafter, you would have suffered a great retribution because of this incident. You fabricated it with your own tongues, and the rest of you repeated it with your mouths without proof. You thought it was simple when it was, according to God, gross. What to do? When you heard it, you should have said, we will not repeat this. Glory be to you, this is a gross falsehood. God admonishes you that you shall never do it again if you are believers. God thus explains the revelations for you. God is omniscient, wise. So these verses, talk about how to deal with unproven accusations and rumors, right? Someone can start a rumor about another human being, a righteous person, and say that this person committed adultery and this and that, And God says if they don't have 4 witnesses, you shouldn't believe them, right? I mean, it's the burden of proof is on the person who's making the accusation, and you shouldn't believe them. God says, I've given you the ears, eyesight, and the brains. You're responsible for using them. And we can see that, it's hard to believe that, people will come up with accusations like that to hurt other people, and you would think that nobody would do that, But we can see people, who are seemingly very righteous will even do that if it suits them. Of course, they have to be hypocrites or disbelievers, because a believer will never do such an evil act, right? But they're hypocrites and disbelievers who will do that, to hurt other people, for some benefit, if it helps them. Let's say two people are running for elections or something, and one person decides, oh, if I just accuse him of a bunch of things, then people will not vote for him, or let's say, let's say, I think I should give that example. So let's say there's two people who have built apps, right? And one person doesn't like, is not getting his apps downloaded. He's going to make up a lie saying, this person is working for, like, say, the intelligence, and he's, using his app to sell your data to the CIA to track you, for example, right? Things like that, right? Or in the case of, Messenger of the Covenant, he was also accused of sexual abuse and stuff, by the disbelievers, who made up these lies against him. And God says, they're liars, because people do these things, very frequently. People make up lies. I've seen people, their own brothers and sisters, make up such horrendous lies about them, to get some worldly benefit. Let's say, there's property and one sister doesn't want the other sister to have it. You can say, oh, you know what, she's a prostitute, she's committing adultery, and she's doing this and that. Don't give her anything, so that she can get all of it. So things like that, right? People will do all the time. So God tells us, for our own protection, to not repeat these types of things, right? Like in this case with Aisha, she was left behind in the caravan by mistake, and she had to come back, and the person who brought her back obviously, had to be on a camel or something, right? So she had to wait for someone. Someone had to bring her, and if her whole caravan was gone and she found this person, he was bringing her back, and people started making up lies like, oh, she went missing, she must have been doing something with him. No, we saw her. No, you saw her on the camel, but you didn't see her do anything wrong, right? And that's the kind of testimony you need. You can't just have four witnesses that say, oh, we saw her riding on the camel with this person, so they must have done something wrong. No, you have to have witnesses that actually witnessed that incident happening, and that's how it should be, And other people can't repeat such a thing without having those witnesses, right? If it was proven, then the people could say, yeah, this was proven, 4 witnesses were found. But no, other people just carried it forward, they helped the rumor to be spread, so we shouldn't spread rumors. If there are no witnesses, we should stop them, at their tracks, because you're hurting another person without realizing it, or all realizing it. And then God says, when you heard it, you should have said, we will not repeat this. Glory be to you. This is gross falsehood. And then the other one says, when you heard it, the believing men and believing women should have had better thoughts about themselves and should have said, this is obviously a big lie, right? So as believers, other believers, we should think good of other believers, Don't expect the worst things from other people, Think good thoughts, Make excuses for each other, right? And don't expect, the worst things, from these people, right? Like in this case, if she was left behind, oh yeah, maybe she was left behind, maybe something happened, maybe I don't know, instead of assuming that, she committed adultery, right? So God says you should never do it again, and God thus explains the revelations for us so that we don't hurt ourselves and we don't hurt other people with our actions. Verse 19 says, those who love to see immorality spread among the believers have incurred a painful retribution in this life and in the hereafter. God knows while you do not know. God showers you with his grace and mercy. God is most kind towards the believers, most merciful. The devil encourages baseless accusations. O you who believe, do not follow the steps of Satan. Anyone who follows the steps of Satan should know that he advocates evil and vice. If it were not for God's grace towards you and his mercy, none of you would have been purified. But God purifies whomever he wills. God is hearer, knower. All right, so we can see in these verses, how important it is to be careful about these types of accusations, right? And the devil encourages these types of accusations. He encourages people to do that, so this way he can encourage immorality to spread among the people, right? And God says, if it wasn't for his grace and mercy, none of you would have been purified, but God purifies whomever he wills out of his mercy, right? And so we should not be, even let's say you are one of those people who are righteous, right? Remember that God is the one who made you this way. God is the one who purified you. Don't give the credit to yourself. Oh, I'm so righteous. I'm so sincere, I was born in this land and I did this and I did that, and God, I have so much knowledge and this and that. No, God is the one who bestowed all these things on you. So thank God, praise God, don't exalt yourselves, right? That's one thing. And then, God says that, out of his mercy, he's the one who purifies whomever he wills. But then on the other side, Satan wants people to be evil. Satan wants people to, lower their standard of morality, lower their ethics, lower their values, and spread, these types of bad things, among the believers, pollute them with these types of traits, evil traits. How would you feel if you were in a community of submitters and, people were spreading these kinds of lies about you, right? How would you feel? So that who's behind it? It's Satan, who wants people to think these things, and spread these things, and people think nothing of it, and believe all these lies without proof. And God says, do not follow the steps of Satan. He only advocates evil and vice. Verse 22 says, those who are, verse 21 says, the devil encourages baseless accusations. O you who believe, do not follow the steps of Satan. Anyone who follows the steps of Satan should know that he advocates evil and vice. If it were not for God's grace towards you and in mercy, none of you would have been purified. But God purifies whomever he wills. God is hearer, knower, right? So the devil, what is in it for the devil? Because of course he wants you to go to hell, right? So you do these things, naturally you're going to end up in hell. He wants that, and he wants you to spread it to other people so other people can start doing the same thing they consider it as acceptable in their society, and they do these things, and then other people will think, oh yeah, they casually will start thinking, oh, this person commits adultery, this person commits this person does that, so I can do it too. It's fine, everybody's doing it, right? That's the idea also. And that's what we see, for example, with media and stuff, how they portray a very low level of morality, and that's obviously Satan's behind it, so that other people can see and expect, oh yeah, everybody does that, and so they're kind of like low-key, making it okay to and acceptable in the society, and we can see the results of that, like many men, for example, in many societies will think that it's okay to commit adultery, as much as they want, and they normalize it, oh, so-and-so committed adultery, so-and-so, he's cheating on his wife, she's cheating on her husband, so, everybody can go cheat now, because, so Satan likes that, because that way those people can be tarnished, their reputation can be tarnished, and then also, if they're innocent people, obviously Satan has a lot to gain, because He wants these people to not be respected and heard. And then also by doing this, people think, oh, this person committed this, so I can do this too, in other words. And that's also bad. Then verse 22 says, those among you who are blessed with resources and wealth shall be charitable towards their relatives, the poor, and those who have immigrated for the sake of God. They shall treat them with kindness and tolerance. Do you not love to attain God's forgiveness? God is forgiver, most merciful. Then it says, gross sin. Surely those who falsely accuse married women who are pious believers have incurred condemnation in this life and in the hereafter. They have incurred a horrendous retribution. So God is saying it is a gross sin to accuse pious women of committing adultery, of course, because you're someone who's pure and pious. I mean, you're tarnishing their reputation. It's a gross sin. I mean, it's an evil act, grossly evil act, right? And so people have to think about it. I mean, there's many sins in the Quran that are called as gross sins, right? And this accusing pious women of adultery is one of them. And so, this also shows to us, our reputation also is something that, sometimes people don't care about reputation, other people's reputation, And if you do something or say something to hurt another person's reputation, like you have to be careful of what you're saying. If you're saying something derogatory about another person, you better be sure about it, right? And especially if it's adultery, you better have 4 witnesses, unless you're ready to, pay the price. And then also in verse 22, we're being reminded of being charitable. God says those who are blessed with resources. I mean, God says those who are blessed with resources, So this means that, people who are blessed with resources, they're just blessed by God. They haven't earned this out of their own cleverness or their own smartness. God is the one who has given it to them. And, people who are given wealth in this world, shall not treat this as, okay, they got, let's say, this money, this X amount of money, that because God has given it to them, it came in their pocket, that it's all theirs to keep and they shouldn't give it out to other people. No. I mean, if you think about it, in this world, there's enough food and enough wealth for no one to starve. Everybody, if God says he calculated our provisions, in 4 days, right? And so if you consider that as a yardstick, I mean, if people did their part in making sure that they gave their rightful share and there was proper social justice in giving to charity, just if everybody gave their 2.5%, right? Nobody will go hungry or starving. Nobody, in this world. There will be no hunger, no poverty, But you have a system where people hoard billions of, sometimes, in trillions, of dollars, like individuals having billions of dollars, I'm saying one person having billions of dollars, right? I mean, what am I going to do with a million, right? And we're talking in billions, like plural, right? And what are you going to do with the billions, And people who have the billions, even we can see that they want to become trillionaires. I want to become a trillionaire, And so what are you going to do with all that, first of all, right? This is ridiculous. You're just having it sit in your bank account, and you have all the food in the markets that is even going to waste, and people are not buying it, right? But imagine if those people had the money that's sitting in the bank account and the food that's going to waste, they would buy it and feed those people, right? Educate them, help them. But, we have a system that's just ready to collapse, I mean, we're living in America, I'm talking about, the richest country in the world, right? And people have billions of dollars, and yet we have people who are, not able to afford groceries, and people who are not able to go to the doctor. They can't afford to pay for the doctor. People are dying as a result, and that sort of a setup will not happen if we had a society where there was social justice for the people. If people were charitable enough, right? I mean, you don't have to have the government, make the tax reforms, for example, to eliminate poverty, right? If people just gave to charity and were charitable, really, I mean, you have people who have the, billions of dollars, and they say they're giving to charity, like millions are giving to charity, but they're giving to charity to their own nonprofit organization that they control, so they don't have to pay tax on the money they're getting, right? So that money doesn't go anywhere. That goes back into their own business, and that's how they're keeping their money. And other people, common people, think, oh, this person's so nice, they spent this many millions, they gave this to charity, and people even pledge to charity, oh, I'll give 5 million to this charity and 6 million to this charity, and they never give the money. They may give like a few thousand or then disappear, and so that's the kind of a world we're actually living in, right? But the believers, God says, they should give to charity because this is the right thing to do. This is what God wants of us, everybody, to give their obligatory charity, the 2.5%. And if you have extra, like if you have access, try to help other people, people who, it says, are relatives, people who are, and not just relatives, right? People who are poor, you help them also. And people who have immigrated for the sake of God, if they're in need, right? Let's say someone has just immigrated for submission to another land, and they don't know anything. They don't have any friends, any family. It's expensive. They don't have a job, anything. They just are starting all over. They may not even have a mode of transportation. So they need a lot of help. All these people, we are supposed to help these people, right? And if you come across people who say they're believers and you see these things are not there, that's a very bad sign, that there's something wrong. You come in a community and you see that people are instead of being charitable, like they're stingy, God says that's not a good sign, of course, because the believers are not supposed to be like that. We cannot love the money too much, and we cannot be hoarding money like the disbelievers. So, may God allow us to, practice all of these things. Of course, being a submitter comes with a lot of responsibility and laws that we have to keep in mind. And so, may God allow us to, do absolute justice to the message that God has given us and all the blessings that we are enjoying by God's grace. And so we can be appreciative, and, fulfill all our obligations. So with this, God willing, I'll end. If you guys have any comments or questions, please feel free. Thank you.
Thank you.
Inshallah.
Yeah, it reminds me like about gossip, why it's bad, too, because you could end up be gossiping about a thing, but if it drifts into somebody else, well, I mean, I think that's what gossip is. Gossip entails that it's about another person, but yeah, like you could repeat something that's not even true. Whether it's true or not is irrelevant. Find out for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So it's best to have, especially like, I mean, if it's a believer, obviously, like we know better. But uh yeah, gossiping like can get people in trouble. Repeating things that
Hmm.
whether they're true or not. You know, but yeah, having better thoughts about somebody is what we're supposed to do, especially being a believer. And this is, and two, this is thank God for His mercy. Always, where's the verse? I said, if it was not, uh, sorry, I lost
Hmm.
my page. But if it was not for God's grace towards you and His mercy in this world and the hereafter, you would have suffered a great retribution because of this incident. Yeah, because I mean, if you think about the grossness of this, like you affect the person's reputation, but there's also other victims, like the person that the individual is married to, their family, you know, like if their parents hear about, oh, my so and so did this or is doing this, the husband or the wife, whatever the case may be. I mean, it's really evil, and mashallah, God gives us a system how to deal with rumors and unproven accusations.
Hmm. You guys can hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now. Were you talking before?
No, I
Oh,
I dropped for a few minutes because I was switching devices.
okay.
Sorry, I missed you.
Oh, what part did you catch? What was the last part?
I got pretty much. I got the first part where you said that they could be right, but we shouldn't repeat.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Whether they're right or wrong, yeah, it
Hmm.
doesn't matter. It's best to let the people find out for themselves because,
Hmm.
like, even if they're saying this or that, it's best just to run from whatever they're saying because you don't want to,
Hmm.
like, it's like you're doing good and you have like, $500 in your checking account.
Hmm.
We're talking about deeds, and then you go and make a huge mistake. You could
Hmm.
lose like $480, and now you're left with
Hmm.
20. Now you have to make up.
Hmm.
Like it's so you have this huge setback in like your growth and your deeds and stuff. But thank God for His mercy. That was the next thing. I was if it wasn't for God's mercy
Hmm.
and grace towards you. So I mean, this is something to be really grateful for. He's the most merciful. Because we can see how even these believers they got tricked and they didn't have better thoughts
Hmm.
and they did this. So um, and then we have the system, what to do, how to deal with unproven accusations. And it's best to have good thoughts about
Others.
people, but it's yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, exactly. Others, especially the believers, but I mean,
Hmm.
even non-believers, like it's better just to have think nice things.
Hmm.
I'm not saying we don't lie to ourselves. Like if
Hmm.
we see this person doing really
Hmm.
evil things, we're not gonna like, oh,
Hmm.
but like we go with a message
Hmm.
like, oh, maybe no, it's okay. It's having a bad day or
Hmm.
think good
Yeah.
thoughts. You know
Hmm.
because we're happier that way too, and then we
Yeah.
don't incur any sins.
Hmm.
Yeah, and it is a gross sin because it's really evil because like you don't just hurt the woman, but you could also uh like you severely damage her, but also the husband and the or the woman's family, right? Or whatever the case could be. The case could be the other way around, and there's other victims, to
Mm-hmm.
this. It's not, the family of the wife or the husband is now thinking things, and then I
Mm-hmm.
mean, and then just even the because of a lie like that, the husband or wife could be going through anguish until it's resolved, and look at all the hurt, they could
Mm-hmm.
have caught they caused.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's really evil, you know. So yeah, that's why it says the one who initiated the whole thing is he's what did it say? He's incurred retribution in this life and the hereafter.
All right. Anyone else has any comments or questions? No comments or questions from anyone else?
I like verse 118.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, verse says, "Say, my Lord, shower us with forgiveness and mercy. Of all the
Mm-hmm.
merciful ones, you are the most merciful."
Mm-hmm. What do you like about it?
Just like how the chapter ends with it,
Uh,
and it's a good. I guess it's a good thing we can
mhm.
say. I like
Yeah,
how the
also,
chapter closes.
mhm, mhm. Yeah, also verse 116, says, Most exalted is God, the true sovereign. Most
Yeah, most
exalted is God.
honorable, most
Most exalted.
honorable Lord.
Yeah. I mean, see,
That's good.
how that verse says, have you noticed notice the one who exalt themselves, God is the one who exalts whomever he wills. And then it says, Most exalted is God, the true sovereign. So all praise is
Uh,
due to him, and he's
yeah,
the true sovereign, like, how you have kings in the world, and that we think they have some kind of status, In reality, there's nothing there, but God is truly the true sovereign king who doesn't answer to anybody. You know, so and he, I mean, if we look at his qualities, that makes him. That's what makes him great. That's what makes. I mean, it's not just that you're praising someone for for no reason. I mean, look at all of his power and look at his omniscience, his omnipotence. Everything about God is amazing.
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh, brother Joffrey's here. Now that brother Joffrey's here, it means everybody's here.
Now the study's over. Now Brother
Yeah.
Shepherd joined. Yeah, we
So
missed we missed you, Brother Jaffer. We missed your questions. I'm glad
yeah.
you're here. So mashallah, we read from 23:113 to 24:23. So if you guys have any questions or comments about these verses, we can talk about them. Yeah, I think one thing, this thing with adultery has been a test for a lot of people, like because in English, translation of adultery versus fornication, has confused some people, or Satan has used it to confuse people, just the same way that he caused confusion among the disbelievers, among the hypocrites, the Muslims, the Mohammedans, like they believe that no, this punishment is for the unmarried, and for the married people there is stoning. And now there's people among submitters who, this I saw this, one person who was with the messenger, he came up with this idea, in front of us, and a bunch of people, fell for it. A bunch of people, and they said, "Oh well, no, this one says adultery, so it doesn't include people who are not married." The opposite, the traditional Muslim said, "No, this is for unmarried," and then the so-called submitter said, "No, this is for the married ones." You see?
Wait, the traditional said it's for unmarried.
Yeah, they
That
say
you
this is for
stone
unmarried
people.
because they say the traditional one said that this is for the unmarried people, and for the married people, you stone them to death
Oh, I see. Yeah, I
because
see.
the hadith says you stone them to death. And
Yeah,
Yeah.
the
that's the
so-called, yeah,
general belief.
yeah, and then the so-called
Yeah.
submitters, they said that, oh well, this says adultery, so this must be for the married people. So if the unmarried people commit adultery or have sexual intercourse, it's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
they
think they
get the
don't.
100 slashes
Huh?
when you're
They
unmarried.
don't understand the. They probably, yeah. They don't think the punishment is for
Mhm.
fornication, because fornication, adultery, it's really the same thing.
Mhm.
Uh,
Yeah, I mean, that's why the Quran was given in Arabic, right? And in Arabic, there's no distinction between a fornicator versus an adulterer. It's one universal word, which means, committing sexual relations with other than your spouse or those who are rightfully theirs. I mean, God defines it in other verses, right? So if someone sincerely wants to understand the Quran, there's plenty of proof available, But for people who have doubts, I mean, there's these loopholes they dig in for themselves.
mm, yeah, I think it's just the English language that they get. It's just the English terminology that they confuse
Mhm.
it with. But yeah, I mean, like people are
Yeah.
still believe that. But yeah, I mean, it's all bad. Same thing.
Yeah, imagine. I mean, what kind of submitter do you have to be to accept this type of idea, from Satan?
Mm. Well, if it befits them, didn't you say it befits one of their
Hmm.
children or something?
Yeah, yeah, and the other people who were related to that same person, you know. Oh, well, I mean, related. When I say related, like I mean like okay, related or friends, etc. You know, like they ended up agreeing with it. You know.
Yeah, I think yeah, it's like I mean, even on a deeper level, it's like when you whether you're married or not, it's adultery because like if you do get married, and you've done these things, I mean,
Hmm.
yeah, you haven't done them while you're together with your current spouse,
Hmm.
but you can actually see, and this is statistically proven.
Hmm.
I mean, of course, this doesn't apply to submitters, like real submitters, but like all the messenger talked about it. He was very clear about keeping your virginity until marriage, and we can see the damaging and damning effects of people having sex outside of marriage, and especially when they're too young, and how it messes them up later in their life.
Hmm.
And the divorce rates are so high. Also, I guess you could say divorce rates are statistically way higher for this type of behavior. When
Hmm.
adultery. So by the time they get married, they're suffering, and the messenger had talked about it. Now, of course, like you could also say the divorce rates are due to not following God's commandments, like not just that, but other things, and which is true. But a big, I think a big, yeah, it's a big thing, and they they shouldn't underplay or try to take. Yeah, because
Hmm.
then by them saying that they're like, oh well, fornicate, or whatever they're saying, fornication
Hmm.
is this, and then they're like saying the same act is still bad, or I mean, or it's like less bad, or you don't have to get punished for it, which is not correct, because this wouldn't apply. You can't, this is an umbrella, I think, application like to every sinful act, which is um whether it's two married people doing this or not. It's all bad. So it all falls under uh, the same thing under adultery.
Hmm.
Yeah, even me, like I know it's the same thing, but like even when I see adultery, just the way I've been trained growing up and in the churches and stuff, like they're like when I look at adultery, I always think of like the married, two married people, but after coming into submission, it also covers the people who aren't married. Uh,
You have also this mut'a that they're doing.
Hmm. Yeah, all that too, of course.
That's even worse.
Hmm.
Make
as what?
it
Temporary marriage, you know.
temporary.
Oh yeah,
They
yeah.
marry someone for a day.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. You know what? I think a while back I told Brother Suleiman about this situation. This guy I used to work for, and I don't know if you remember, but I didn't know what would have happened. Basically, he wasn't a sheik, but he was what do they call it? The leader of the mosques.
Uh-huh.
imam or
Imam.
something. But yeah, he
Mm-hmm.
had to leave. He had to leave like the state because a lot of people were angry with him or
Uh-huh.
something. But
Mm-hmm.
anyway, I don't want to go into it. But I didn't. And then I found out like more, and I was like just telling you, and then like you were like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
that's yeah, it's
Mm-hmm.
like.
What did he do? He committed adultery?
Well, no, he was. I think I remember hearing that he was a counselor for people, for
Mm-hmm.
married people or something.
Uh-huh.
You know, like these were
Mm-hmm.
Sunnis,
Mm-hmm.
and not that it makes a difference, Sunni Shias,
Mm-hmm.
that's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I didn't, and I remember like it got so bad where he had to leave, like because the guy I worked for, it was his, this was his uncle, so he
Uh-huh.
was he was an older guy, and yeah, some people were like not happy with him, like not just random like people within the mosque and stuff, and and
You're not
like
happy
he
with
got
him for
very.
what?
I don't know, but you had said he probably you know, because he was counseling married
Oh, I see.
people.
Okay.
Yeah, and then like I didn't
Mm-hmm.
know these traditions and their
Mm-hmm.
like these
Oh,
little
right, right.
yeah.
Oh.
And then I
Mm-hmm.
was like, dude, and the more I thought, I was like, yeah, that must have been exactly what happened. Yeah, because I actually
Mm-hmm.
had to yeah. Anyway,
Mm-hmm.
It's
yeah,
like
it
a
was like a
business
big
marriage.
yeah. Yeah, like when you said they unmarry or they marry people for a day, and then
Mm-hmm.
like that's like there's no getting
Right.
away, there's no getting around.
Yeah. And then we
Uh,
also have people that they have for hire that will marry your wife so you can remarry her again because they think that if you say divorce, divorce, divorce 3 times, then you can't remarry her until she marries another person. So
yeah,
they
that's
pay
probably what
someone
he was. I think that's what
who's
he was doing or
they
something.
pay someone to marry their wife for a day and have intercourse. So
That's so wicked, man.
ridiculous.
Uh,
Hmm. But see, this shows how Satan hates God's religion and how he wants to distort it. Like submitters should learn from this, how Satan wants to twist God's words and change people's religion. And we
Yeah,
should learn from history.
scary stuff.
Hmm.
So many tricks, so many devilish things.
Hmm.
What about this right hand possess? How do you say it in English? You know, you
Those
the
were legal, rightfully theirs.
yes. What is that
Hmm.
actually
Your
So,
words.
so yeah, so that is.
there? But
I think the message of the covenant also explains this. But yeah, so that is common law partners. Like so, when you're a submitter, right? When you become a submitter, and you follow the Quran. You have to before having sexual relations. Uh, you can't do anything like that unless you. God says marriage is a divine institution. You have to get married, right? But let's say in other societies, before becoming submitters, let's say you're living with a person that you decided to be with for the rest of your life. You didn't get married, but you guys got together, you love each other, and you got together with the intention of being with each other for the rest of your life, and let's say you didn't have religion, you didn't believe in one or whatever the case might be, and then you became a submitter. Let's say you have been together for 10 years, living in the same house. You don't have to, at that point, you don't have to get married again. Like, you don't have to get married, period, in that sense, because you're already recognized, as partners. So
mm,
that person is rightfully yours. What we refer to here as common law marriage, you know, is like someone you decided to be with for the rest of your life, sincere commitment, just like marriage, but
You become
except,
partners.
yeah,
It
partners,
is something, yeah, partners.
So, but you didn't go through the actual, ceremony and the agreements that you make when you marry someone. So
And
those are
now,
recognized, in submission. But that doesn't mean boyfriend and girlfriend, right? And especially for submitters, if you want to be with someone, you have to get married, right? That's a commandment from God before you decide to have sexual relations. But this is just applies to people who have already been together
Before.
for as partners dedicated to each other before coming to submission. God, recognizes that relationship.
Oh,
And
now
dowry. So if you become a submitter afterwards, should you then you should still pay the dowry to the person you are with?
I
good
mean, you
question.
could, but it's not required because I mean, dowry is you're supposed to give it as a security in the beginning, right? But I mean, if you it's dowry is specific to marriage, and if they weren't married,
Oh,
let's say you've been together 20 years, or you're 30 years. I mean,
Hmm.
um,
oh,
it's
okay.
it's not really relevant. But I mean, you could always give it for the benefit of the spouse if you want to. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Yeah, and if you're like an atheist married, like man and husband, like a husband and wife,
Hmm.
you're married with
Hmm.
each other, and
Hmm.
then
And you
both
didn't
of you
give
become
dowry.
submitters, then
Hmm.
you don't have to give the dowry, or because it's
No, I mean
all.
dowry. I mean, if you're married, like I would definitely give the dowry. Because
But
I'd be
you were
like, okay,
married
God
20 years
says,
ago.
yeah, but I mean, if you're married, I don't know. I mean, that's how I, that's how I'm thinking about it. Like, I mean, I would say, dowry is something as a security for the spouse. Normally it's like, when I'm not saying you treat your spouse as an object, right? But let's say I'm just giving an example. Let's say you buy something, and or say going to apply for a loan at the bank, for something you want to buy. You give a down payment, which represents a commitment, a security. So dowry is security for the wife, right? So the right way to do it would be to give dowry. So if you got married to a person and you didn't give dowry, God says give dowry. So if I was married before I became a submitter, I realized, oh, you know what, I didn't give the dowry. I will still give the dowry. But if it was a common law marriage, uh, I mean, I would still give the dowry as a gift, whatever. But the thing is, dowry is specific to marriage. So if I'm already married and God says,
Yeah, yeah.
marriage
Like,
includes this and this, I'll try to do it, by the book.
yeah, like the ablution is meant for the
Hmm.
prayer, right?
Hmm.
Like you don't
Hmm.
have to do ablution if you're gonna read the Quran. Like
Hmm.
it's not meant for
Hmm.
that. It's meant for
Hmm.
specifically for baby.
Marriage.
I had another
Hmm.
question, brother. So, like the verse where it was about idolatry, like if a person does idolatry, two people do that.
Hmm.
What if they decide to marry with each other? Do they still need
Uh-huh.
to receive the punishment, or can they say, okay, it's nullified because okay, they did adultery, but
No,
they
the
decide to
punishment
gonna
should still happen because they did it before getting married.
ah.
Yeah.
So this doesn't nullify the situation, let's say.
No, but I mean, the thing is, like, if someone really wanted to get married, I mean, the marriage shouldn't be there to, evade the punishment, right? The marriage, and if they really wanted to get married, they should have gotten married before committing
Yeah, no, but
adultery.
you know what happens sometimes?
Uh
For
huh.
example, this happens a lot in Turkey, for
Uh
example.
huh.
Like the parents, they don't want to give the girl to the boy, but they are in love with each other, for example, and then,
Hmm.
um, you know, um, and because they can't do it in a normal way,
Hmm.
what they do, they end up doing adultery, and with that, then the parents are forced to let them get married. You
Right. So
understand what
the
I mean?
thing, yeah, yeah. So the thing is, like, they can still get married in the sense of, marriage is just you. You don't need like witnesses, to get married. You need to pay the dowry,
Yeah, and
and you don't
accept,
need,
both of you need to
yeah, both
accept
to
it.
accept. So,
Okay, so you can even do the marriage in between between each other, and
mm-hmm,
then arrange the dowry, and then
mm-hmm,
afterwards, if the parents, okay, but then
mm-hmm.
you can go to them, you can say, listen, we got married,
We got
done.
married, yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
because this will give a lot of freedom to the ones who want to get married. And
Mm-hmm.
please correct me if I'm wrong, like for in submission, um there is also this age of marriage, right?
Mm-hmm.
And in the Quran, what was the exact word, Arabic word? Rashid, was it called Rashid?
Rashid.
Yeah, we in Turkish we call it Rashid. Rashid means someone who is an adult, someone who became an adult.
Mm-hmm.
Like someone who's 15
Sure.
years old is not an adult yet.
Mm-hmm.
Balak.
So,
Right.
sorry?
Balak or something.
Balak? No, not Balak.
Not in
Uh,
Arabic. Yeah,
what
I
is it
mean,
called?
yeah. So I mean, the thing is, the Messenger of the Covenant talks about it, right? And he says the girl is not. It's not about the physical maturity. It's also
Yes,
she has to be psychologically and
yes.
emotionally
Become an
mature. You
adult.
know?
Yes.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
like.
and then you need to be able to sign a contract, right? So you need to be able
Mm-hmm.
to understand what a contract is. You need to be
Mm-hmm.
able to take the
Mm-hmm.
responsibility, and
Mm-hmm.
like there was also one thing about knowing about values like money value, like because you're asking for a dowry, it yeah, you need to understand what that really means, right? And then a
Mm-hmm.
child which is, let's say, 15 or 16 years old, they don't have a real sense of what all these things really mean because they are not developed yet
Mm-hmm.
psychologically,
Right.
right?
Right. Plus also, when let's say a girl who's very young, like let's say, 18 or 19, she's still growing, Like
Yes,
people think that that's the married, age of marriage, even 16 or 18, let's say, But the thing is, girls are not physiologically, they might be physiologically mature, but they're not emotionally
psychologically,
developed,
maybe. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
so it takes time for them. They're still growing and learning. And
Mm-hmm.
let's say you marry someone at the age of 19, and then at the age of 21, she became mature enough to realize that
Or it was a mistake, maybe.
she doesn't want this right now. And
Mm-hmm.
then of course it's bad for both of them. So
Yeah.
the both the men and the women, they both have to be mature enough
Mm-hmm.
to be able to get married. And then of course for the men, you also have to be financially stable on top of that.
Oh, yes, yes. Yeah, that's the whole point of the dowry, being able to give
Hmm.
the dowry. Like sometimes
Hmm.
the parents give the dowry, right? They arrange the money, but maybe it's really meant for, like, to give the
Yeah, the parents
uh
shouldn't be arranging it.
yeah, like the parents paying it, right?
Yeah,
For
yeah.
the, yeah. But
And in
actually,
yeah,
yeah,
and many cultures it's reverse. Like if you got married
the
in
girl
India or
pays it.
Pakistan, the girl's family pays the dowry to the guy.
Let's move to Pakistan. How is it in Morocco?
I think it's not like that in Morocco, right?
Oh,
No.
okay, yeah. No, it's not.
What, what
Yeah,
about?
okay, so this means
Yeah.
go ahead, brother.
No, no, go ahead.
Yeah, so this means that, it gives you this sense of responsibility, gives you also the idea of, okay, the guy needs to be able to take the responsibility, to be able to pay the dowry. You need a house, you need a income, all those things. Yeah, most of the times when you're 18, you're still studying, like maybe you
Hmm.
just started going to the university, and you
Hmm.
can't really take the
Yeah.
responsibility of someone else. And most
Well,
of the
also
times
you're
when you
not
get,
mature at that time, like
yeah,
psychologically.
also,
You
and
know.
most and you can also have a kid, maybe by accident even, you can
Hmm.
become a father or a mother. So
Hmm.
everything is going to change, and then you have this responsibility of a
Hmm.
child.
Hmm.
So yeah, it makes sense that you really need
Hmm.
to think about it.
Yeah.
And I can imagine, when you have two families, the girl's side and the boys' side, and if both families are well educated, they know the Quran, they know the rules, they have this logical sense of understanding, right? How life works and all those things. most probably those people will end up having a, you know, a good start with the right age of marriage and all those things.
Hmm.
That would make most sense, I think.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, exactly. So, yeah, I mean, that should be like, at least um, a couple of
Because the
years
world is
after
meant for those
reaching
people.
reaching puberty. People think that you have to just reach puberty and then they could give away their children, and some even think that you don't even have to reach puberty, that you can give your child, like, literally, children in marriage, you know.
There was today, I just saw today on the news,
Hmm.
there was this clergyman in Turkey um,
Hmm.
who said that, you know, you can like marry 6-year-old girls that can
Uh-huh.
marry. And
Yeah.
then one of the guys who was there, he
Uh-huh.
threw something to the guy and he shouted, and
Uh-huh.
then there was this whole fight,
Uh-huh.
you know,
Uh-huh.
like.
Where was it?
But it's in Turkey. It was in Turkey, somewhere
On
in
Turkey.
Turkey.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there were a lot of girls there,
Uh-huh.
as
Hmm.
well. So that still these things are being talked
Hmm.
about. Like, it's really strange,
Hmm.
but it happens.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's more
And the
bad
source is
than
hadith, yeah.
Turkey.
And the other question was like, um, when uh, when they do adultery, adultery, um, are they forced to marry each other if they're both not married? Or can they say, okay, we did adultery, it was
Hmm.
wrong, we got the punishment, and then, okay, now we can, everyone goes to his own thing.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
No,
So I think.
you wouldn't want to force them to marry, because I mean
Hmm.
they have to pay for the mistake, of course, and probably gonna pay in the future somehow. But they it could have been a bad. Both of them, I mean, did something bad, but one of them could have been really bad, and you don't want to be stuck. You know, like what if this person doesn't become a submitter to God at some point in their life, and so you're just stuck with them. You know, I mean, the idea is good. I see it a lot. I guess I really see that in the United States when people when a child comes out of it. You know, I've seen this more often than not, and they do this. I think usually for the children. But sometimes it's I see the common law marriage is probably more often, like even within uh like people, they what I'm saying, they make it work, you know. I mean, that's fine. I guess people are free to correct however they think they should be. That's just my thoughts.
Hmm.
Is that
I
what you
had,
were asking, brother?
yeah,
Like,
like, are you then forced to marry with each other? Because, if, like, the thing is, the first rule of marriage is love, right? Like, the message of the covenant explains this. So there needs to be love in between. But when people do adultery, it's not always because of love, yeah, like because of
Yeah.
it's
those
because of
feelings.
lust. It's because of
Yeah,
lust. That's
that's
why.
right. So,
And
uh,
ignorance too. Like, where I mean, you're ignorant, and especially even like the age thing can come into fact, be a thing. But yeah, lust and ignorance and uh, all that.
so you would see these examples where two people who did adultery, that they can end up not marrying each other, but because the believers should be witnesses for the punishment, right? This means they're actually exposed, right? And then when you, for example, when you have a son, and then he meets this girl who had the punishment, that everyone, like a lot of people will
Oh,
witness
I see what you're
that
saying.
part, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
and
good.
then
I didn't
like
think
you
about
can,
that.
yeah, and then it's
Yeah,
yeah, like then you know, okay, this girl did adultery before,
right.
and most of
Yeah,
the times, if people do adultery, um, yeah, like it also needs to be proven, right? Like
Yeah, that
right.
was
there
one
needs
of
to
my
be,
questions. What is the? It was like there should be a witness, right, or a few witnesses. If someone blames you that you did adultery, there should be a witness, right? Or someone just can say, "Yeah, you did adultery and you didn't do it." What about?
Right.
yeah, what I know between when it's like between a man, a husband and a wife, and if there are no other witnesses, then they need to um how do you call this? They need to,
Where?
is it called swear? Do you call
Zwe-
it swear? Yeah, I don't know what's called exactly in English. To say
Um,
like that you are the one who's telling the truth. And then if the man says no, I didn't do adultery, he also need to say it like a few times, and then they need to say that uh
Oh,
wait
swear by the fifth,
until,
by the fourth and the fifth. Yeah, I think we actually
yeah,
just read those verses today.
yes,
Yeah, I
yes,
think the
that
fifth
one.
oath they should be innocent.
Yeah. And but what if it's not between man and husband, or like do you need witnesses? There was something about four witnesses that need to,
Well, I think it's four witnesses, whether it's husband or whether it's a husband, whether it's a married couple or one of them is married on each or on either side, or both of them are married committing the act, or if they're both unmarried, because it's and it
yeah,
is
for
yeah.
yeah,
Uh,
you have these two things. One is sometimes what people do is, for example, the woman wants to punish her husband, let's say, yeah, and she wants to divorce, but she wants to punish him as well, so she can lie about him doing adultery, right? Or the opposite way, the husband can say, yeah, she did adultery, right? Because he wants to embarrass her or like punish her. But if he doesn't have any witnesses, then God says you need to swear, right? A few times,
Mm-hmm.
and then you can go all your ways and then wait for God's judgment.
Right.
And then it's done. But if it's
Mm-hmm.
not man and husband in this specific situation, um, like you need to have witnesses to be able to give the punishment.
Mm-hmm. Right. That's correct. So
wait,
I also
wait, wait. So you're saying if you're two unmarried, you need to have witnesses for the adultery between two unmarried people. But if
No, no,
one
no.
of them or both of them are married, let's say, and they commit adultery, you're saying just the husband or wife's testimony, whatever the case may be, could suffice as being the only witness. Is that what
Yeah,
you're
but
saying?
for example, if the husband says my wife did adultery, and
Right,
if the
right.
wife doesn't accept it, then both of them they need to swear. Both of them need to say,
Oh, okay, I see.
yeah, like
Yeah.
no, I
So
didn't
yeah,
do
so
it, and
they
then you
don't
say
need four witnesses. That's just for the unmarried couples.
yes, but then there is no
Okay.
punishment. There is no punishment. In the end, God says, like then you need to wait for God's judgment, like for God.
Oh, wow.
You understand? And
I
then you
didn't.
can.
I'll just learn that today. I guess I didn't. I didn't. Okay. So yeah,
Yeah,
so
and
that would
that.
be
logically,
that would be if the husband doesn't say that he's telling the truth. I mean, if she says that I didn't do it
Right.
and may
Right.
God's wrath be upon me, then she's considered innocent, right? So then, if
Yeah.
she is considered innocent, then there's no punishment. But let's say
yeah,
if she doesn't say she's
Say that.
proven guilty, then she has to be punished.
Right. And
yes,
all she
yes,
Mhm,
needs for that would be the husband's declaration
mhm,
that they don't need the extra four witnesses. Correct.
mhm, mhm.
Oh
Yeah,
yes. They
wow.
don't
yeah,
need that.
Okay. I
Yes,
didn't.
yes, yes.
yeah.
Because it's like very heavy, right? Like to blame
Mhm,
your
Yeah.
wife if she didn't do something like that. That to
Right
blame
now
her
for
with
the
adultery,
two.
like
Right. Yeah. That's true. That's what I was getting at earlier. Like there's it could be very hurtful. Now for the two unmarried people, the both of them are unmarried, commit adultery. You have to have four witnesses.
No, married or not, not unmarried. It doesn't. That doesn't matter. Like, let's say
Well, no, I thought
a
we just read.
married guy.
I thought.
Let's say a married guy is doing adultery or did adultery with an unmarried woman, but the guy is not married with her. The guy has his own wife. Let's say, but they. You understand what I mean? The guy is cheating. Let's say, that's also adultery, right?
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
then you need witnesses for this thing. Like, and if I'm not mistaken, you need four witnesses, right, to for them see, like, for what they have done. And there's also one other thing. What I understand from this is you have also a lot of people who are doing this as a job. It's their like as work, right? So,
As
and
work?
most of the, yeah, like this is their job.
You mean
Uh,
prostitution?
yes,
Yeah.
prostitution.
That's
Uh-huh.
so terrible,
Yeah, so
man.
yeah, like because this is their job, it's very logical to have like much more witnesses, right? That more people are. You understand what I mean? Like this
Hmm.
because it's the job. It's more
Yeah.
known. Let's
Yeah.
say.
It's not a job. Well, I don't know if you should call it a job.
I don't know as well. Like here, they get paid for it.
It's not a real job.
Like you can go apply. Like I was thinking a job. Like
They make
why do these people do
insurance.
that? Do they just go on
Wait, they
Indeed
get
and
insurance here.
or Craigslist? Mm, man, that's so
Yeah.
bad. Yeah.
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 Okay,
You
so I
laugh
wanted
about it, but yeah, it's bad actually.
yeah, yeah. That could be a side job.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. So
Thank you for the clarification of it, brothers.
yeah,
Yeah.
mashallah. So I just wanted to share what Brother John was working on. So this is we talked about in the last study. So this is I think we shared the URL for this link.
Yes.
It's on the thing. So
Yeah.
you can easily search for it. So like for example, when I search for common law, what we were talking about earlier, it talks about common law marriages. So it says there are common law marriages in this country, and the Quran recognizes that. They're legally, yes, they legally belong to each other. In this country, there are common law marriages. Yeah, so there's like three audios it mentions that talks about common
Does
law
it have AI
marriages.
as well?
For
Is there
what?
any way you can add AI search to the thing?
Uh, we could, yeah, but
Do you
right
know
now it
why?
doesn't. Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Yeah, do you know why? Because like
Yeah.
you can ask like this question about
Mm-hmm.
a topic, and
Mm-hmm.
then I think Brother
Yeah,
Suleiman,
it's a
we
good
have
idea.
this in the app. Because when you
Yeah,
write
yeah,
down in
we
the
have it.
AI
Yeah.
search, it
Mm-hmm.
brings like it doesn't specifically search for the word, but
Mm-hmm.
it looks at the topic,
Yeah.
and then it brings all the verses that have to do with that
Mm-hmm.
specific topic,
Yeah.
or that can be related to that topic.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the thing is, like, sorry, this is just like the this website is a temporary solution that we think that would help us until we have the right corrected
You will help
transcripts.
me to
No, no,
you did
we
all this
actually
for me, Suleiman. Come
no, no,
on.
no, for us too.
No, no, I
So yeah,
understand.
for all of us. So
Because I forgot.
Brothers
yeah,
Because I
love
no.
this
forgot some
project.
references.
No, for all of us, mashallah, it's helpful. And no, also
Thank
one
you.
thing, other thing, mashallah, one other thing we did is the transcripts that we had. We ran them through the AI to correct some of it. Also, some mistakes. So before running through it manually ourselves, at the end we asked the AI to find the mistakes and fix it itself without looking at the audio. Just looking at the reading it and guessing where it made the mistakes and fixing it. And found a lot of mistakes. Like
Oh, mashallah.
for example, like at one place, the person is talking about Hajj, and the messenger is talking about Hajj, and he's saying going around the Kaaba 7 times, and the AI transcription that we had was saying, go around the car something, and
Uh-huh.
when it went through, it says no, it says he's saying going around the Kaaba 7 times. So it made a lot of corrections, so it should be a much faster now to work on those, God willing.
Oh, mashallah, bro.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah. So we went through it twice, for each one. First it
oh,
corrected. Yeah.
also, brother. So see if you could type something. Maybe. So there's also the videos too. So all the
Mhm,
messenger sermons and all of his
mhm.
videos. So if you find something and you scroll down, the video will be in orange.
Yeah.
Maybe we could think of a keyword or something, or they could find. But yeah, video everything for the videos, the sermons and stuff are in there as well. So pretty much
Hmm.
the whole 9 yards.
Right. Right. Okay. Testing. Oh, testing. Okay. Yeah. I'm back. Yeah. So it has audios and videos. It will give the label. So if I search for just, let's say, something more common, I search for, let's say, marriage. So I'm sure the videos will talk about it too. But I think it's pulling all the audios first, and then the videos are here.
Okay, those videos, yeah.
Yeah. So mashallah, it's a
Those.
very, very, very handy thing, inshallah. And then it will.
Oh, and it'll play too from the point
Yeah, yeah.
in the
So if you
player
say
too.
watch here, so it will play. Yeah. So
Oh, that's really
starting
great,
that in
mashallah.
that place.
That's
Yeah.
very good, mashallah. It goes exactly to the
Exact
exact
time. Yeah.
minutes, right?
Hmm.
Seconds,
Hmm.
minutes.
Yeah.
Very good, mashallah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I
So
have
the.
actually another question about something,
Uh
but
huh.
I don't
Uh
know. It
huh.
was. You
Hmm.
guys remember when the topic of it's called pro-life? It's about abortion. What is called abortion, right?
Uh huh.
Yeah, and then you had these discussions about, let's say, girls who are being raped and then they got pregnant from that,
Hmm. Hmm.
and then like the ones who were pro-life, they would say, yeah, like it doesn't matter. This is eventually God gives life,
Hmm.
so if you get pregnant, then you can't do abortion,
No,
but
but
you
that's
should.
not. You see, that's not an abortion, and I think that should be very clear. That's not considered what abortion. If you look at the Quran, that's killing your kids out of fear of poverty and just to kill them, not due to a rape. Because that's the reason. What, like, when people get abortions, I mean, you can say medically, yeah, you aborted a fetus or a baby, but like abortion in the sense is you're doing it, you're killing the kid because you don't want it. Let's say you just decide, oh, I don't want a kid, or you're doing it because of fear of poverty or something, or whatever, or maybe you just hate life. Maybe you want to go and commit adultery and you just don't. You get pregnant. Actually, I mean, I've known people like this, but
Hmm.
no, in the case of a rape, like, no,
Okay.
that she should be allowed to.
Hmm.
I mean, I think this should be very clear.
Yeah, so
Hopefully,
actually, it's interesting we talked about that, because there is an audio, there's an audio that talks about this too, and I remember that audio, so that's why I did a search.
A
And
15-year-old girl.
no, it says a woman was talking about it. Says the
Mhm.
Supreme Court decided that it is unconstitutional for the state to make it illegal to have abortion. And which is same thing that's happening. And so now they want to reverse it so that the states will again be allowed to say it's illegal to have abortion. So it says, she says, what a Supreme Court had done basically, we say that's unconstitutional. It's against the woman's choice. Talking about pro choice. And Dr. Khalifa he said, well, this is stupid. This is the he said the law has nothing to do with the people. The people will have abortions or not anyway. It depends on the individual. And then he says individual will make a decision to abort or not.
Mhm.
Yeah, it says the Quran is he said the Quran is in favor of absolute freedom, no interference for the government whatsoever. It's extreme libertarianism. The Quran is for the maximum freedom for the human being. Otherwise, you cannot hold the human being responsible, right? So,
Right. So
And
that's
you
that's what
can
I
any,
was
check
saying.
everything
I wasn't
as a
saying.
government.
mhm.
Yeah, of course. I wasn't saying any.
And
I
then
wasn't
yeah, and then
insinuating like you.
he says the abortion. He says that's the least of their problems. Like there's
If they're
so much.
worshiping God or not. Right.
Yeah, yeah, that's the least of their
Okay, so
problems. And then she
so does
says,
the
the woman
oh yeah.
says, if a woman makes a decision not to have an abortion, if you're right, then that's good. And then Dr. Khalifa says something, and then a woman, the woman said, if she doesn't have an abortion because it's not available to her because in her country, then she doesn't have a choice. And then yeah, we should probably
Yeah.
retranscribe these
Right.
because he has done a lousy job, in transcribing
Mhm.
this. Like just everything is unintelligible. Like we can't see what the messenger is saying. Like if
Which audio
huh?
is this one? Which audio is
This one
this?
is 41. This one's 41. So
Uh,
this was already transcribed by someone, right?
I
So
don't
it
think.
says
I
a
think that
choice.
might have. I don't.
Yeah,
I don't.
yeah.
Yeah, that was probably from a
No, no,
sister.
that was them. Yeah. So it says
Can
a
AI
choice that
not
has
do
been.
the transcripts?
No, this is the ones that were already done.
Yeah, but can't
By
AI do it? Like, and
AI
then
does it, yeah, of course. AI was the one that did it first, and then Masood worked on it, right? Some of them.
Yeah.
hmm
So okay, so it says a choice.
Yeah.
She says a choice has been made for her. He says, "Oh yeah," and she said, "In a sense, you almost don't have the opportunity to make a choice for you." And he says, "Okay, wait," and then she's still going on about abortion. She says, "We have to quit before we're invaded by the children." So yeah, so we have
We have to
to finish
quit.
this study. The children are coming.
Well, we need to listen
Okay.
to it too. Maybe
Yeah.
it's. I don't
Yeah.
think
So
it's
I mean,
right, but
the thing is, I mean,
I
abortion
mean, yeah, people are free
doesn't.
to
Yeah. The
commit
thing is,
abortion. Abortion is murder, and people are
yeah.
free to commit murder. Like you can't stop. Yeah,
The
like
thing
if
is,
someone
yeah.
wants to
I
get
mean,
an
it's
abortion, they should have the
yeah.
freedom to, but they should do it
Hmm.
out of fear of God's law. And just like if someone's gonna murder somebody, they're gonna do it whether there's laws or not. So I think yeah, like the messenger said, it's. I think the Supreme Court should probably
Yeah.
just stay out of
Yeah. I
stay
mean,
out of
he's
those
not
matters because
saying. Yeah, he's not saying like, for example, when you can do abortion or not. Like that is up to the individual. Of course, the individual can make that decision for
yeah, but you
themselves,
can't
right?
force it on people.
But yeah, but
Like
as
if
far as
she's
the
raped or
yeah, hold on,
something.
hold on. So as far as the Quran is concerned, right? When Quran talks about abortion, right? The messenger says abortion is murder, right? When the Quran talks about it, the Quran is talking about, like you said, the Quran is talking about a very specific example, right? The Quran is talking about do not kill your children out of fear of poverty, right? But
Right.
let's say a 16-year-old girl or a 13-year-old girl is raped and she's pregnant, in that situation,
Of course.
she's
Yes.
she
Yes.
probably will die or
Yeah.
something, and she doesn't have the physical or emotional ability to even have a child at that point, or
Yeah.
take care of it. So I mean, God leaves that to the individual,
Yeah.
but
Yeah,
but I
that's what I
mean,
was saying. Like
yeah.
it's. I didn't really look at like in like
Hmm.
you. Man, I didn't
Hmm.
look at as that as quote unquote abortion in the context. But yeah, for people who would try to force like her free will's already been violated once, and for people to try to say no, you have to have a baby. That's like
Hmm.
double free will violation. Because yeah, like she could. I mean, it was against her will. She didn't. I mean, it was a horrible situation that happened, and And I mean, these are real situations too.
Yeah,
She's
I mean the
not.
thing
She's
Yeah,
not.
is,
because God
yeah,
is the one who gives life. Yeah, so it's not about the
hmm
government. Let's say, of course, in submission there's total freedom. You can also do other stuff, etc. Like
hmm
it can't be forced on you. But the thing is, let's say this person is a submitter and it needs to make a decision, right? Like,
hmm
what would be, um, like, and
well, the first
like
thing
the
is,
thing
yeah,
is,
yeah, the first
they
thing
are
is like,
so small,
yeah,
so young. Sorry,
hmm
to even
the
make a right decision.
yeah, but the first thing is, we said about submitter. The thing is that if you're a submitter, this is not going to happen to you in the first place, right?
Okay, but if this child is like 16 years old,
No, I'm saying if you're a submitter, this is not going to happen to you in the first place. Let's say you're a 16-year-old girl, right?
yes,
Not you, you're not a 16-year-old girl, but let's say there's a 16-year-old girl.
I can pretend to be.
if she, if she's a submitter, God willing, she's under God's protection, right?
Hmm.
So it's not going to happen to her in the first place. So we shouldn't worry about scenarios like that, really. But
Okay,
the
okay.
important thing is that God says, as far as we know, that the abortion that they're trying to force on people, you know, this is wrong. Like people should,
Mhm.
Quran advocates extreme libertarianism. People should be able to make their own choice. Doesn't mean people should be, getting aborted or not. God says abortion is murder, right? So
Hmm.
but we shouldn't be forcing it through the governments,
Yeah.
trying to make it mandatory. And like we said, there could be many circumstances where this may become necessary. In some cases, it actually hurts the women. Like it could be deadly, and so many other things, right? But these laws tend to make that process even difficult, you know,
Hmm.
to carry out. And
Yeah.
and
Are
and
you
it
saying
doesn't
there's
help because
laws that
yeah.
make the process for something like this difficult for the girl?
Yeah, like for
That's
example, if she
bad.
has a
I didn't
legitimate
realize
case.
how.
Yeah, because they have to make sure that they're not playing around and trying to get away with abortion in a legal
Oh,
way, like
so they
trying to.
claim they're like to make sure she's telling the truth or something.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
about
yeah,
okay,
yeah, and it slows down the process,
I
and it makes
see.
it difficult. And in some cases, the abortions are denied too, based on these things. In those states, because there's
So that
states.
could be real
Yeah,
devastating for
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and the thing is, but the thing is, like if someone really wants to have an abortion, they're gonna go to Mexico or they're gonna go to Canada or they're gonna go somewhere else and do it, right?
Hmm.
So they can't stop it, and that's why he's saying he said that's stupid. If someone wants to get an abortion, they're gonna do it anyways, you
Hmm.
know. Yeah,
What
but
about
but I think as submitters,
yeah,
I've seen like people actually get worked up about it and say, no, no, abortion is wrong, and yeah, and like people, they're submitters, they're supporting MAGA over these things, and Trump
mm,
because they ran on these things for ignorant people, to bring like similar to like the Taliban
I mean,
laws
abortion is wrong.
and
We know that. Like in
yeah, but I
context
mean
of
the
what
thing,
we're talking about, it's murder in the Quran. But like that's what. But what we're not. What it isn't wrong is like I guess quote unquote aborting a kid or a child due to a rape or some type of situation like that. But killing out of fear of poverty, yeah, that's wrong. And yeah, I don't think our government should uh mandate that. Of course, just like the messenger
Mhm,
said, people are going to get it done or one way or the
but you
other.
have also
mhm.
some specific situations, where, for example, if a woman doesn't have the energy or like is not psychologically ready to have another child, for example, and then she wants to decide to have an abortion, she's a married woman, and then the husband
You
doesn't
mean
want
as a
abortion,
submitter?
or yeah, yeah, like because
No,
yeah,
as a
like it's a
submitter, you can't have an abortion.
yeah, you can't, right?
Yeah.
Because it's not only about taking care of the child
hmm
financially.
Yeah.
It's
The only thing we're talking about here is that should that be imposed on you by the government, right?
by the government, yeah,
No,
like that
no.
Yeah.
shouldn't be, of
Yeah.
course.
Just
Yeah.
look at
And
all
I
the
had one
issues
other
it's
question.
causing women who are
hmm
raped. I mean,
And I
I mean,
mean, but the thing is,
if somebody wants to like put their baby in a microwave, I mean, that's you
mhm.
can't. It's
Yeah,
not
but
going to
the
be
yeah,
beneficial to create laws because
yeah,
people do that because they don't. Their
yeah. But the
kid wouldn't
thing
stop
is,
crying.
yeah, but the thing is, instead of talking about rape and stuff, right? We should be focusing on freedom. Like, even if a disbeliever wants to have abortion, let's say they're living together, whatever, even if they're married and she wants to have an abortion, she needs to have her freedom to decide. That's what pro-choice is all about, right?
Yeah, yeah, no, of
And that's
course, but
exactly,
it's not good. The fact what they're doing is bad, but yeah, the freedom that they have it, of
yeah. But
course,
that's what.
it's
But I'm saying that's where that's where the real debate is, right? And so the debate is not whether it's good to have an abortion or right or wrong to have an abortion. Some people, they're saying, okay, if it's good to have an abortion, the government should force it, or if it's bad to have an abortion, the government should force it. And if it's good, that then they could, and they're trying to make cases. No, it's good in this situation. In this situation, is good. But we shouldn't be arguing either one. We should be just saying that,
it's
every
bad.
person should have the choice,
Yeah,
to make the abortion. That's it. People should have their own choice. As far as submission is concerned, we know abortion is murder, right? So we're not going to do that. But for as far as the government is concerned, there should be absolute freedom. Whoever wants to get an abortion should get an abortion, should be able to get an abortion, right? They should have the complete freedom. It should not be forced on people to prohibit abortion, right? That's what I get from the
mhm.
discussion,
Yeah,
right? Like, I mean, we shouldn't even have, because when you start going to the edge cases, you're saying like, oh, but what if this happens? What if that happens? We're ignoring the main point, which is the choice, the freedom. That's the main thing, right? The freedom is the main thing. The freedom, which is the debate, is not about whether it's good to have an abortion or not. The debate is whether the government should interfere in this or not, right? And the solution is no, the government has nothing to do with it. People should be able to make their own choice, which is pro choice, right? When someone says pro choice, that doesn't mean that they're going to have an abortion every time they get pregnant, right? It just means I have the choice to do it if I want or not, right? Which is what submission is saying, right?
yeah. I mean, you're free to do anything. I mean, you're free to murder
Hmm.
people, kill people. I
Yeah.
mean, there's still going to be consequences, but
No, but
they're just
when you
looking
talk
at
about
it
free to
different.
murder people, no, being free to murder people, there's capital punishment for that, right? So
Yeah,
that's what differentiates this from that, right? It's not that kind of murder, right? Where there's capital punishment. There's no capital punishment for abortion, too, right?
but
So,
that's where the two, I guess, those
right.
people debated like when because part of the debate was when is life like. So if the baby comes out, then you murder it. Like, where do they draw the line? That's the debate I've seen in the past. But
Hmm.
yeah, I mean
Yeah,
that's
but I think really, I think people shouldn't get down into the weeds of it. Just say, yeah, it should be just the government shouldn't interfere. That and
shouldn't
and
be.
that's
Yeah,
all
I agree.
that's where the concern is, right?
Yeah,
People
we
don't
don't
care
need the
about.
government
Yeah,
interfering. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So I mean, this subject of abortion has been brought up in a few places. I think in the studies where the messenger has talked about it. And I think it's pretty good because despite all that, like it shows like this is the whole like Taliban mentality. Sorry, brother Bardani, I don't mean to say like I know you're not Taliban anyway, so I can say that. But uh,
Of course,
but I
no.
mean like when I say Taliban, like the I mean like
I Yeah, yeah.
the
The I
religious Sunni and Shia extremists who have this idea of the Sharia to Islamic or Quranic law that they want to impose it through the government, right? And that's exactly my
yeah,
point is that's exactly what is happening now in the U.S. For example, is these far right extremists are trying to impose these
yeah, yeah.
laws, Christian laws that they're trying to bring up and impose it through the government on everybody, and that goes against extreme libertarianism that the messenger of the covenant in the Quran is talking about, and that's why and the reason I was saying it was because there are people in submission that are so ignorant that they look at these things and they're like, look, they're talking about abortion, and Quran says abortion is murder. So yeah, yeah, like, we support that, like that bring these things in the government, in the system, because they think that it's good, but they know that this is all satanic, that goes against God's system, that goes against submission, what submission advocates, which is total extreme libertarianism. So we shouldn't be supporting these extremists because what they're saying,
Who said? Why you
sounds like
say? Well, you said we shouldn't be. Who said? Who was supporting these extremists?
like the people who support MAGA are among
Yeah, but you
submitters.
said we. You're just talking about submitters in general, like these people.
I'm not saying we as you and me are supporting them. I'm saying like we
Okay.
shouldn't be supporting them.
Oh, we. Yeah, we as in general,
Yeah,
like it's a
yeah, yeah,
submission.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I mean, we shouldn't be. You thought I was talking about you?
No, you just said we, so I didn't know if it was
No,
me.
that's how I'm talking. I talk in general.
Okay.
I'm saying we as submitters, we don't support MAGA, because they want to bring these laws and enforce it on people, because we know that the Quran advocates extreme libertarianism. Yeah.
Yeah, the more government interference you have, the worse things get.
Hmm.
Like
Hmm.
less, the more they try to, even if they try to tell you, "Oh, this is good for you," that's the whole trap that these people don't
Hmm.
realize. Like letting the
Hmm.
government do their
Yeah.
thinking, because then if it's once it's that, you run into cases like, yeah, it just starts to complicate things and make it hard for
Hmm.
people.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. If I said we as in Navid, then it would be too obvious.
Yeah,
Yeah, we as in just people on Discord.
yeah,
So yeah, I mean, because this is all satanic, because the devil wants to use these ways to first go against God's system, and also it repulses people from the religion, right? um and you never, and we see these examples. For example, in certain countries, if you don't go, it's time for the contact prayer and you don't go, they come and start whipping you in the streets. If it's time for prayer and you're not at the mosque, you know in some countries,
yeah.
they come and start whipping people. The police comes and starts whipping people with canes,
Mm. Yeah, that's
right?
why mixing religion and government has always been so
Hmm.
bad.
Hmm. So
I
then
guess
they
what?
come, they
Yeah.
come, they come to a Western country and they start committing adultery and binge drinking and stuff because you know they've been, they feel so oppressed.
Yeah,
Yeah. Which, I mean, they're also naturally bad people, so
yeah.
yeah. Anyways, so are there any other comments or questions from anyone?
I had an off-topic question, just real
Mm-hmm.
quick. So when doing wudu or when making ablution, is that right? How you say it? Making ablution or wudu?
Yeah, it says making evolution or
Is
doing
that
evolution or
doing? Okay,
performing
yeah, 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 yeah. Performing.
performing evolution.
Okay, yeah. So when
Yeah.
performing ablution,
Mm-hmm.
so like say I know this, I don't know if anyone's ran into this before, but it just got me thinking because it happened a few different times. And
Mm-hmm.
so like if you turn on the water, and then like let's say your water heater, you thought you had it set right. And then, but let's say
Mm-hmm.
your water heater slow, whatever the reason, and by the time you get to your arms or your head, the water starts to get very hot. Uh, should you just continue or like touching? Because I was just, it happened before, like where I had to mess with the not mess with, but I had to push the handle and fix it in the middle of doing my evolution, and I was wondering if that was like like an extra step or something. I know like
No,
my
it's not an
intention,
extra
it was
step.
not an extra step, but I was like wonder if
Mm-hmm.
Satan is like, oh look, he's doing something else. He's
No, no, it's not an
you
extra step. You know,
okay.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. It's
because
like,
it happened a few times, and I was just like, yeah.
yeah, yeah. It's like some people. I remember some people. They came up with the idea that if you're doing your ablution in the middle of your ablution, you have to take off your socks You know, that's an extra step, so you should take them off before you start the
Oh
ablution.
yeah, that's another thing. Yeah, so I kind of wondered that, but I never I would sometimes like because you're in a dirty maybe a dirty or like a place in the airport or something, and
Hmm.
you I take my socks off last, like,
Hmm.
but that's not an extra step, correct?
Hmm. No, that's not an extra
Yeah,
step. I mean, the
I didn't
steps
think
that
so.
are there, you know, the steps that are there, I mean, you should try to do them in the same order and in the same way. You know, like for example, if God says wash your feet and you just wipe your feet, you know, like that's wrong, you know. Or if you start your ablution with your feet first and then you go to your face, I mean, that's also probably not the best way to go about it. You know, you should do one, two, three, four in that order. But whatever you have to do to get that step, like for example, like you know, one can say, "Oh well, you're lifting your leg to go up in this thing. That's another step." You know, it
Right?
doesn't say
Yeah, I
that.
see what you're saying. Yeah, yeah,
Then do it. You have to do it sitting on the floor or something. You know.
yeah. That's a good example. Yeah, that's a good example.
Yeah. Hmm. So, all right. So I guess maybe I can end the stream, and then if we want to talk after, just a few minutes. That I think we can talk a few minutes. So thank you. I'm gonna stop the stream first. So thank you all for joining us. God willing, our next English Quran study would be on Saturday at 9:30 a.m. Pacific time. And God bless you all. Assalamu alaikum.